Alianza Dominicana. I want to thank Catholic Charities and Monsignor Sullivan for opening the Catholic Charities today, and to make sure that we all gather here in this important day. As you know, mass deportation has been threatened and announced by the incoming administration. We felt it important that we gather here to prepare, to organize, to begin our efforts as a city, as a country, to protect immigrants that may fall victim to aggressive behavior by government. And so as a result, we're here today to announce first a Know Your Rights pocket card that people will be able to carry on a regular basis every day when they go to and from work, to church, take their children to school, to the hospitals, wherever they go. They'll be able to carry a pocket size Know Your Rights card that will allow them how to proceed in the event that they are approached by ICE agents, the police, law enforcement. I think it's important that we educate the public so they know their rights and they're able to protect themselves as well. We have them in English and Spanish. We'll be making them in other languages so that people will have that basic information. And the pocket card says the following: if you're approached by an ICE agent or police, you do not have to reveal your immigration status and have the right to remain silent. If an ICE agent comes to your home, you do not have to open the door. Ask to see a search warrant through the window or to have it be slipped under the door. It must be signed by a judge and have your name on it. So these are basic rights and information that people should have. A deportation warrant is not a search warrant. There are differences between a search warrant and a deportation warrant. So when someone comes to your door and knocks and says they're ICE, they must have a search warrant with them. And it does, a deportation warrant does not authorize ICE agents to enter your home without permission. You have the right also to refuse ICE permission to enter your home if agents do not have a valid warrant. If ICE agents enter without a valid warrant, ask for the agent's name and badge number. If you are arrested or detained, you have the right to speak to a lawyer immediately. You and your family can call your congressman to help connect with legal services. You have the right to remain silent and refuse to sign any documents without advice from an attorney. So these are the basic Know Your Rights pocket-sized cards that we'll have. En español, vamos a distribuir, comenzando hoy, una tarjeta que puede portar en su jacket, en su ropa, que se titula Conozca sus derechos. Y dice lo siguiente: si un agente de ICE o la policía se le acerca, no tiene que revelar su estatus de migración y tiene derecho a permanecer en silencio. Si el agente de ICE llega a su casa, no tiene que abrir la puerta. Pida que le enseñen una orden de allanamiento por la ventana o que se lo ponga por debajo de la puerta. La orden debe ser firmada por un juez y debe de tener su nombre. Una orden de deportación no es lo mismo que una orden de allanamiento y no autorizas a los agentes de ICE a entrar a su casa sin permiso. Tiene el derecho también usted de rechazar el ingreso de ICE a su casa si los agentes no presentan una orden válida. Si agentes de ICE entran sin una orden válida, pida sus nombres y su número de identificación. Si es detenido o arrestado, tiene derecho de hablar con un abogado inmediatamente. Usted o su familia pueden llamar a su miembro del Congreso para que les ayude a conectarse con servicios legales. Y también tiene derecho a permanecer en silencio y negarse a firmar cualquier documento sin el asesoramiento de un abogado. Estos son los derechos básicos. Vamos también a escuchar de personas que representan organizaciones que defienden los derechos de los emigrantes, y ellos les van a dar más información sobre números de teléfonos de emergencia y servicio que prestan ellos en las organizaciones sin fines de lucros que ayudan a los emigrantes. Este es el primer paso. Decidimos hacerlo precisamente hoy, mientras se juramenta la nueva administración, para también indicar que Nueva York y los otros estados vamos a estar organizando para proteger a personas que pueden caer víctimas de acciones agresivas o de lo que se ha denominado como la deportación masiva. Con eso le presento al concejal Sean Abreu.
Good morning and buenos días a todos. Well, first of all, I want to thank our Congressman Adriano Espaillat, our newly elected chairman of the Hispanic caucuses, and he's doing an amazing job over there. Le queremos dar las gracias al Congresista Adriano Espaillat, el nuevo líder del caucus hispano nacional en el Congreso. Esto es un día que quizás para muchos de ustedes trae mucha tristeza, pero también es un día que me trae mucho orgullo de saber que tenemos líderes como el Congresista Espaillat y líderes aquí en nuestra comunidad que va a hacer todo por el todo para defender el derecho del inmigrante. Siempre lo he dicho, y congresistas también, que los inmigrantes somos de clase trabajadora, somos vendedores de dulce de leche en las calles, somos abogados, somos doctores, somos oficiales electos. Como mi papá, somos personas que hacemos limpieza. Nuestros padres y la generación antes de yo llegar aquí vinieron para acá para asegurar la oportunidad para sus familias. Tenemos que defender esas oportunidades. Tenemos que hacer todo por el todo para defender al inmigrante. Que nosotros nos quedamos aquí. No pienso que una persona es ilegal. Todo el mundo, hay que tratar cada persona con la humanidad y con la dignidad que se merece. Gracias, congresista, vamos a seguir luchando y trayendo los recursos necesarios legales para los inmigrantes que estén detenidos o que no estén detenidos. Nuestra oficina está en la 141 y Amsterdam. Cualquier cosa, sabe alguien que está enfrentando un problema con la ley o con ICE, llame a mi oficina que estamos ahí en la 141 siempre. Gracias.
Okay. We're going to hear from the other electeds. Antes de eso, los teléfonos, the phone numbers for the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs is 1-800-354-0365, and the New York State New Americans Hotline is 1-800-566-7636. Again, the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs, 1-800-354-0365, and the New York State New Americans Hotline is 1-800-566-7636. Okay, before I introduce our elected officials and subsequent the non-for-profit leaders, let me just go through. I think there's been a misinformation of what first a sanctuary city is. A sanctuary city is one that allows, for example, a senior citizen to go to the hospital, to the emergency room right across the street, and to feel reassured that the nurse is not going to call ICE on him or her. Or it's a city that allows a mom to take her child to a school and feels reassured that the principal, because the child has no documentation, the principal is not going to call the authorities on her. Or a woman that's a victim of domestic violence will be able to go to a precinct and the police will not call ICE on her and arrest her, cuff her, arrest her, deport her while being a victim. That's what a sanctuary city is. It's a safety net for people. There are 170 crimes that, when convicted, people are on road to deportation. That's already there in the law, in the penal code. That's there already. So if you're involved in a violent crime, you're still entitled to due process just like everybody else in America. And if you're found to be guilty, those 170 violent offenses are already in the penal code, subject to deportation. So the new laws that are being implemented or attempted to be implemented are redundant, and they're done to cast out a wider net and then include people that commit what they call offenses of moral turpitude. So it is important that we also know that churches, funeral homes, emergency rooms, schools are sensitive locations where aggressive immigration action should not occur. So these are the two elements, the two things that I think are important that we clarify and that the people in the community knows out there exactly what it means, because I think there's been a great effort to misrepresent it. Ha habido un esfuerzo inmenso para representar de manera equivocada lo que es una ciudad santuario y lo que son locales sensibles, como son iglesias, escuelas, hospitales y también naturalmente hasta funerarias. Con eso le presento a Carmen de la Rosa.
Thank you, Congressman, for your leadership. As usual, this is such an important moment for us to be here, gathered in community. We've seen this movie before. Fortunately or unfortunately, we've seen this movie before. And one thing that I am grateful for is that the frontline workers of our city are in this room. The people who are tasked with ensuring that immigrant communities across this state are protected. There's a few things that we need to do as leaders. Let me start first by saying that in New York State, we have a governor that has already pronounced that she will be doing what she can to ensure that immigrants are protected. That also means we need her and our state legislature to pass the New York for All Act to ensure that New Yorkers who are here are able to be protected so that we can expand sanctuary laws in New York. That also means that the nonprofits that are here, that are doing that frontline work, can also benefit from funding that can come into our communities for legal services. Because one of the things that we've learned in this process is that without fair representation, we can't keep families together. So ensuring that we have things like funding the New York Liberty Fund, making sure that we have access to legal representation for all, are the types of things that New York has to do as a state in order to make sure that we are protecting families. And as a city, obviously making sure that, as the Congressman said, sanctuary laws are also protected. You know, the sanctuary laws have been in place in New York City for generations. And what we know is that what they do is ensure that, as the Congressman said, we are not casting a wide net. Last time around, when this administration was in office, I can't tell you the number of cases where ICE came into our communities, was looking for one person, but literally settled for whoever they found in an apartment that didn't have documentation. The hurt, the anguish, what it does to families of mixed status, when there's American citizen children in a household and their parents are deported, when a parent has to think about making a deportation plan in case they are taken away from their family, that adds to the stress and that adds to the anguish that families are feeling every single day. So us as leaders in the city, in the state, in this community, what we have to do is make sure, one, as the Congressman said today, this is the first step, making sure that our communities know their rights. We also have to battle the anti-immigrant and xenophobic rhetoric that is playing in communities every single day. I'm an immigrant. I came to this country as a baby. I was adopted in the Dominican Republic, and my parents brought me here because they understood that the American dream that America sells in the global community was an opportunity for us to raise a family right here in Washington Heights. We are not the type of people that enter into a moment of opportunity and close the door behind us. And what we have to ensure is that, although we may be some firsts in this room, that we're not the last. Our communities are hardworking, our communities have dignity, they have integrity, and we will not be scapegoated by this administration or any other. So my ask of all of us here is to stay informed. It's okay to feel afraid, but know that information battles misinformation and fear, and make sure that we are preparing as a community to support the most marginalized among us. So, rápidamente en español, nada más quiero decir que es importante que nosotros entendamos de que ya hemos visto esta película, desafortunadamente o afortunadamente. Digo desafortunadamente porque sabemos lo que significa para nuestras comunidades, pero afortunadamente porque ya sabemos lo que necesitamos hacer para proteger a comunidades inmigrantes. En este cuarto están las organizaciones sin fines de lucro, que son las organizaciones que son los trabajadores de primera fila. Ellos son los abogados, ellos son los representantes legales, que se van a asegurar que nuestras comunidades sepan su derecho. Pero también nosotros como oficiales electos tenemos una responsabilidad. En el estado de Nueva York, eso se ve como que nosotros tenemos que asegurar que leyes como New York for All, que es una ley que expande el estado santuario para Nueva York, se haga realidad. Y yo sé que nuestros colegas como Manny en el estado están trabajando en eso. Pero también expandir fondos para las organizaciones de fines de lucro que están dando representación legal a esas familias. Y en la ciudad de Nueva York significa asegurarnos que en realidad somos esa ciudad santuario. Es muy difícil poder ponernos en los zapatos de una madre que tiene que hacer un plan de deportación. Una madre que tal vez no tenga papeles, pero que tiene hijos ciudadanos americanos. Que cuando ella deje a ese niño en la escuela, tenga que pensar, ¿y si hoy ICE me recoge? Como dijo el congresista, el peligro de estas pólizas es que cuando hay una redada, recogen a todo el mundo. No solamente a personas que en realidad cometieron un crimen, como hacen ver en la prensa. Así que nosotros estamos preparados y vamos a seguir unidos como comunidad para asegurar que las protecciones estén ahí. Gracias, congresista, por la oportunidad.
I also want to acknowledge my two staff members that are here, that are the ones that address immigration in my office, are Maritza Sanchez. Maritza, raise your hand. Where are you? And Luis Adames. Where's Luis Adames? Now we're gonna be getting more help to ensure that we're ready for this this unfortunate situation that's about to begin. And with that, let me introduce Manny De Los Santos, our Assembly member.
Thank you, Congressman. You know, the Hispanic Congressional Caucus could not have chosen a better leader to lead us in this difficult time. So we are grateful for your dedication, commitment, and hard work in Congress. And we know as much as we have leaders like yourself, protecting immigrants' rights, protecting community of color, undeserved community like the one I represent, I know will be in great hands. So thank you. In the face of the fear and anxiety that exists in our communities, it is exactly the right time for us to come together as who we are, as an immigrant community, as a city, as a state, as a nation, to do all it takes to protect our immigrant brothers and sisters. And as we continue to celebrate and elevate the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., it is exactly the service that we as immigrants need to embark ourselves. We should not look back. we should not look back. And it is not pure coincidence that on the second week of the birth of the great Dr. Martin Luther King, we are here doing this press conference, Know Your Rights. And as we welcome this new administration, we are prepared and ready to face the challenges, to protect our brothers and sisters. We are. Oh yes, we are. It never has been more important than this time to do what's right. Dr. Martin Luther King reminds us, as he's always said, that it's always the right time to do what's right. And this is what we're doing today. We are dedicated, committed to do exactly that. No matter what it takes, that's what we're going to do. Quiero agradecer al liderazgo de nuestro congresista, líder en el Congreso, del liderazgo hispano en el Congreso. Y creo que nosotros todos estamos de acuerdo que el caucus de latino en el Congreso eligió bien, eligiendo un líder que se ha dedicado a proteger los derechos humanos y los derechos de los inmigrantes. Y quiero agradecer su liderazgo y por convocarnos hoy este día. Pero entre el medio del miedo y la ansiedad que existe en nuestras comunidades, nunca ha sido tan importante de trabajar juntos para proteger a nuestros hermanos y hermanas en comunidades inmigrantes como la cual yo represento, pero también de aprovechar la oportunidad en esta ocasión para mandar un mensaje a Washington y a esta nueva administración que nosotros aquí, en esta comunidad, en esta ciudad, en este estado, en esta nación, estamos unidos. Nunca antes ha requerido estar tan unidos como ahora. Ahora es que importa. Ahora es que importa, y por eso agradezco esa iniciativa y ese liderazgo que ha tenido siempre nuestro congresista, de unificar a nosotros, pero también de proteger a aquellos que necesitan ser protegidos, como son nuestros hermanos y hermanas, que actualmente están siendo amenazados, pero que nosotros entendemos que cuando nosotros trabajamos juntos, ganamos juntos y nos ponemos más fuertes. Y por eso es que nosotros tenemos que darle el frente, comenzando hoy a esta situación, a esta administración, que solo hay que tenerle miedo al miedo. Al miedo. Aquí no se tiene miedo. Y como dijo el gran líder, el doctor Martin Luther King Jr., que nunca es tarde para hacer lo correcto. Y el tiempo es ahora. Nosotros todos creemos que el tiempo es ahora. Mis colegas creen que el tiempo es ahora. Y la comunidad inmigrante no está sola. Vamos a compartir información, recursos. Mi oficina está disponible para ayudarlo en todo momento. La oficina de mis colegas está también disponible para ayudarlo a cada uno de ellos. Pero nosotros seguimos adelante en firme para proteger a cada aquella persona que sienta miedo. Porque aquí no existe miedo. Aquí no hay miedo. Gracias a todos. Y recuerden que en la unión está la fuerza. Juntos somos más.
Thank you, Manny. I'm going to ask now the leaders from the different organizations to come up. Monsignor Sullivan, Murad, Catherine Mendoza, Maria Lizardo, Domingo Cantro, and Eddie Cuesta, and also someone is here from Naleo. So if you can come up now so that we can... And let's first hear from our host here at Alianza Dominicana, Monsignor Sullivan. Thank you, Monsignor, for opening up your doors today.
First, a word of thanks to the Congressman for gathering us here today on obviously an incredibly important day for our country, the celebration of the anniversary of the birth of Dr. Martin Luther King, and a day in which causes so much trepidation in so many of our neighbors. Thank you for your leadership in gathering us here, and thank you to the other elected officials who are here. Thank you for your presence. I will not speak very long. I just want to say in these times, Catholic Charities reaffirms and enhances our commitment to stand with immigrants and refugees who seek to make New York City their new home. We repeat that, we do it over and over again. Make no mistake about it, some of the actions and some of the words that we hear do not accord at all with our own Catholic Christian values, nor with the best values of this nation. Separating families does not accord with human decency. Shock and awe, which attempts to create fear, does not accord with the sanctity of the human person. And other types of mass deportations and raids do not conform with the best of America, do not accord with our own values. And so we today reaffirm our standing with immigrants and refugees in these difficult times to ensure, to the extent that we possibly can, that they are protected, they are affirmed as our neighbors. And I might add, since these are such difficult times, we'll do whatever we can humanly, but we better raise a prayer to God for God's help to protect those who are most vulnerable among us. Hoy día, Caridad Católicas reafirma nuestra solidaridad con nuestros inmigrantes que está en Nueva York para vivir bien, para contribuir a nuestra ciudad. En este tiempo tenemos que hacerlo con más fervor, más poder, porque los tiempos son difíciles y a veces terribles, pero nosotros estamos con nuestros vecinos. Como católicos, creemos que cada persona es hecho en imagen de Dios. Cada persona merece un hogar. Caridad Católica está con nuestros inmigrantes que está en Nueva York. Gracias.
Thank you. And Monsignor, we were encouraged by Pope Francis' words on his rejection of mass deportation. So we will be working with the Catholic Church and other churches, synagogues and temples, and mosques to ensure that we work together and we protect our families. And now with us also from the New York Immigration Coalition, a long-standing organization in New York City in defense of immigrants, Murad.
Thank you, Congressmember, and good morning. My name is Murad Ouad. I'm the president and CEO of the New York Immigration Coalition. It is a pleasure to be here with you all. I wish that we were here together under brighter moments. I want to note that this country has been an iteration of itself since its founding and even before it. And every wave of this country has proven to become better. And that has been in large part because of the people who come here. And while we have someone who is being sworn in less than an hour and a half, who is going to try to tell us that everything we have ever believed about this country is not true, that what should make us great is our divisions, not what unites us, I want to remind us all that we are in this together. Martin Luther King Jr. once said that it's the darkest of nights that the stars shine the brightest. And we are going to be in some dark nights. But we look to all of you to be those stars that are shining. We look to our elected leaders who have a moral compass that is about our New York values, about fighting for the New York dream, fighting for the American promise, that allowed my family to come here, that allowed all of our families to be here, fighting for that dream, that honestly, many have yet to reach. There are 28 million American families in this country. 28 million American families that live in mixed status families and households. There are 1.7 million New Yorkers who live in those households here. Imagine 1.7 million families being devastated in this city and in this state. It's unconscionable. It's something that we can't even fathom, right? That is what is being threatened in this moment. Mass deportation is not about safety or security. It's about cruelty, and that's the point. It's to be as cruel as possible. And unfortunately, instead of reading the data and the tea leaves that every exit poll said after this past election, which was that voters across this country voted on a mandate to address the affordability crisis and to address the economy. The incoming president is going to scapegoat our communities yet again and play another trick on the American voters who voted them in, because the second with mass deportation taking place, and if he's successful, the rates of what it will do to our GDP is anywhere between dropping it 2.6% to 7.8%. At the lower end, that's the Great Depression. At the top end, that's 3 times the Great Depression. So for New Yorkers who are currently living in this fear, who are scared of what is to come, know that you are not alone. Know that you have rights. And to access the documentation on what your rights are, visit our website, www.nyc.org/KYR. It is available in over 15 languages on our website. Feel free to download it. The website again is www.nyc.org/KYR. For those who are in need of legal assistance or legal advice, please call the Office of New Americans at 1-800-566-7636. The number again is 1-800-566-7636. There are going to be a lot of rumors and hysteria created about raids and this happening and that happening. Do not fall for it. If you cannot confirm an incident, and confirm meaning you see it yourself with your eyes and take a picture or record it, or if you don't see a picture, more than not, ICE will show up in unmarked vehicles with unmarked clothes. When they come to your door, they will probably be dressed normally and say that they're the police. Do not ever open your door for anyone, but if they say that they are the police, do not open the door, but from the door, ask to see if they have a warrant. And if they do, tell them to slide it under the door. If that warrant is not a judicial warrant, a warrant signed by a judge, where it says a judge and their name and the district being in New York, do not open the door. That is your right. If you are stopped in the street and you were asked for identification, you were asked any questions, you have the right to remain silent. And also do not lie. Just remain silent. You have the right to an attorney in any circumstance. Ask for an attorney. And New York doesn't have a right to an attorney, and as the councilwoman mentioned earlier, we are fighting for the Access to Representation Act here in the state of New York. Because everyone should have an immigration attorney when they go up and are fighting for their lives in front of a judge and a prosecutor whose sole job is to remove them from this country. And the city of New York and the state of New York should not be colluding with family separation, destroying our communities and gutting our economies. So I will end with just saying this is going to be an interesting next couple of years. I have faith in all of us that we are going to be able to overcome any adversity that comes our way. And the reason why I say that, even with the deck stacked against us, is because this is New York. And in New York, regardless of whoever is in office, no offense to elected officials who are standing here, who are literally standing here and not rushing off to DC to go curry favor with the incoming administration for self-interest. We have brilliant minds here We have bold leaders, some of them standing here. We are going to get through this. And New Yorkers show up for each other in times of hardship. And I know that New Yorkers will continue to do that. Thank you again to the Congress member for organizing this today, and thank you all for being here.
Thank you. As we said, today is MLK Day, and I know deeply in my heart that had he been alive, he would be here with us today. Not at the Capitol. He would be here with us today. Yo estoy seguro que Martin Luther King estuviera aquí con nosotros hoy, y no en el Capitolio. And he said, in the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. Al final, nosotros no vamos a recordar las palabras de nuestros enemigos, sino el silencio de nuestros amigos. And we will not be silent. We will not be silent during this. With that, I'll introduce you to Maria Lizardo from NIMIC.
Good morning. Thank you, Congressmember Espaillat, for convening us today. My name is Maria Lizardo, the Executive Director at NIMIC, and we have been around for 45 years supporting immigrant communities and tenants and survivors of domestic violence, and we will continue to do so. As the daughter of undocumented, illiterate immigrants who came to this country in 1965 from the Dominican Republic, they came here to work. They came here to be chasing the American dream because they wanted better opportunities for the kids and for their families. Immigrants who come here want the same thing, and it is up to all of us to push back on the rhetoric that we come here to take from this country, that we come here because we're criminals. It is up to all of us to speak up and educate our neighbors who believe this. So I stand here representing NIMIC, and we do provide immigration legal services. If you need assistance, please call 311 and ask for the Action NYC program. You will be connected with organizations in your communities, like Catholic Charities who do this work, like NIMIC, like NFCIR who do this work, to make sure that you get the legal advice and assistance that you need. You can also call our hotline, 929-415-8745 to get an appointment. Because guess what? We are not going to be silent. We are not going to be quiet. Because when we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. Mi nombre es María Lizardo y soy la directora ejecutiva de NIMIC, que por los últimos 45 años hemos estado aquí en esta comunidad proveyendo servicios a inmigrantes, a sobrevivientes de violencia doméstica, a inquilinos. Como hija de padres documentados que vinieron a este país en el 1965, estoy aquí para decirles que ellos vinieron aquí a trabajar, a buscar el sueño americano, una mejoría para sus familias. Y como muchos inmigrantes que vienen aquí hoy, vienen a lo mismo, a trabajar para mejoría para sus familias. Y tenemos que elevar nuestras voces y decir, ellos no son criminales, ellos no vienen aquí a quitarle a este país. So, únanse y vamos a empujar contra eso, porque no vamos a estar callados. En NIMIC sí proveemos servicios legales. Si necesita ayuda, por favor llame al 311, pregunte por el programa Action NYC, en lo cual lo van a conectar con una organización sin fines de lucros que provee este servicio. También pueden llamar a nuestra línea directa al 929-415-8745. Y no nos vamos a callar. Vamos a seguir apoyando a inmigrantes y a las comunidades, porque cuando peleamos, ganamos. Cuando peleamos, ganamos. Cuando peleamos, ganamos. Gracias.
Gracias. Y de nuevo, esta tarjeta, una tarjeta con esta información, pocket size, que podrán utilizar, poner en su bolsillo, con información, conozca su derecho, cómo reaccionar si agentes de ICE o la policía se le acercan, si agentes de ICE llegan a su casa y si son arrestados por ICE o la policía. Estos son los datos que le vamos a dar a los emigrantes para que porten con ellos todos los días y puedan defenderse. Y también los teléfonos de emergencia de la ciudad y de organizaciones sin fines de lucro como las que están aquí presentes. La de la ciudad es 1-800-354-0365 y la del estado es el hotline 1-800-566-7636. Pero también estas organizaciones van a brindar sus servicios legales. Mi oficina también, localizada en la calle 125 y en la 181, tenemos 2 personas también que son expertos en inmigración. Y con eso le presentamos a la directora de la coalición de los inmigrantes, de los derechos de los inmigrantes del norte de Manhattan, una organización que tiene muchas décadas aquí en el Alto Manhattan, Cristín Mendoza.
Hello everyone, good morning. Thank you to our elected officials. Hello, hello. I am the Executive Director of the Northern Manhattan Coalition for Immigrant Rights, NMCIR. We are a 42-year-old organization that has been working alongside organizations that you see here. And I'm just so grateful that today and for the next few years and in the past we have gotten together our religious institutions, our nonprofit organizations, our elected officials, and our communities to come together because we need these coalitions in order to do our work, right? I am a first-generation Cuban American. My father came here many decades ago with his family. His mother was very overwhelmed with the experience of coming to a new country and not having the services that she needed to support herself and her family, and unfortunately took her own life. And this moment, I never got to meet my grandmother. And I tell this story a lot because this was a pivotal moment in my life to be able to help the communities that we are working with today. And today I want to talk directly to the community. So if you all are listening, I want you to know that we all are here for you. The Coalition for Immigrant Rights is here for you. We offer immigrant-related legal services. We have walk-in Wednesdays, so you can come in and you can get a free consultation with our legal staff. We have lawyers. You can visit our website, www.nmcir.org. We also offer worker center services, and this is all kind of wrapped around, right? Although we're experiencing this, we still need to work. We still need to get up and go to work. We still need to make money to afford to live in the city and support our families. So we offer a worker center where we provide trainings. We have OSHA trainings coming up, SST card trainings, painting, scaffolding, entrepreneurship classes, cleaning classes, free of charge for the community. And we also offer job dispatching, where we're connecting our community, our vibrant, the heart of the city. We're connecting them with these employers who are part of our ecosystem to help support our communities. Aside from this, we also offer advocacy and ESL classes. So if anyone is out there listening and you need these services, please contact us or any one of these organizations and elected officials and religious institutions that you see today. Thank you so much.
Gracias a la coalición. We're joined also by a representative of the offices of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who's here with us today. And to finalize, I'm going to ask all of you to come up together, and you can give us all a minute apiece. We have Eric Cuesta from Dusa, Juan Rosa from Naleo, Domingo from Juan Pablo Duarte Foundation, and Maria from Nightlight. Please come up.
Well, thank you very much. My name is Eric Cuesta. I'm the Executive Director of Dominicanos USA, DUSA. For the last 10 years, we've been helping legal permanent residents on back to citizenship. Thank you for being here today. We gather as a critical moment to address issues that affect not only our immigrants, but also the core of our community. The news of the deportation and separation of families is spreading fear in our neighborhoods and throughout New York City. You know, we have a human capital in terms of this deportation, and know your rights, as we mentioned this day, is very important. You know, the Constitutional protection is based on the Fifth Amendment, guarantees your right to remain silent and not sign or hands over documents without consulting a lawyer, which has been said here. The Fourth Amendment protects you from searches and seizures without proper authorization. Agents cannot enter your home or search for your belongings without your consent. The Sixth Amendment grants you the right to legal representation if detained or questioned. As has been said here, it's very important to follow these procedures. We are here to help, we are here to be connected in terms of the needs of our community. Gracias por estar aquí hoy. Nos reunimos en un momento difícil para nuestra comunidad. La ola de deportación que se ha anunciado no solo están separando familias, sino infundiendo miedo, desconfianza en nuestros vecindarios. Es importante recordar que todas las personas en los Estados Unidos tienen derechos constitucionales independientes de su estatus migratorio. Estos derechos no son privilegios, son protecciones fundamentales para debernos conocer y ejercer. Como se ha informado, hay muchísimas formas de poder protegernos y básicamente la Constitución indica que la quinta enmienda protege su derecho a guardar silencio, la cuarta enmienda evita registro y allanamiento sin su consentimiento. La sexta enmienda garantiza su derecho a representación legal. Un llamado a la comunidad, nuestros aliados, le pedimos que documenten, como se ha dicho aquí, seguridad, cualquier actividad de migración y reporten lo que vean a organizaciones confiables como las que están aquí. Juntos podemos proteger a quienes más lo necesitan. Nuestro número de teléfono es el 718-665-0400. Nuestra página web es dominicanosusa.org.
Thank you very much. Juan Rosa with Naleo Educational Fund. Naleo Educational Fund is a non-partisan organization dedicated to empowering Latinos to participate in American civic life. We don't endorse, we're not for Republicans or Democrats. We just want Latinos to be able to participate in our country's democracy. And what we're talking about here today, the underlying context that we're talking about here today is fear. Fear is the enemy of power. When people are fearful, they forget the power that they have. And what is represented here today, convened by Congressman Espaillat, is the power of our community, as Councilwoman De La Rosa said earlier, as Maria Lizardo said earlier as well. 1-888-839-8682, 1-888-839-8682. It is a toll-free, fully bilingual number when anyone in the United States can call and get information about their immigration legal services, but also about U.S. citizenship, and to be connected to the organizations on the ground. So all the organizations that are here represented today, we connect to all those organizations. People can call between the hours of 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday through Friday in the East Coast. And again, they receive information, bilingual, and also a connection and referral to one of the legal service organizations here today. Mi nombre es Juan Rosa, Director Nacional de Participación Cívica del Fondo Educativo Naleo, una organización no partidista que no endorsa a republicanos o demócratas, sino que empodera a los latinos para que participen en la vida cívica de este país. El enemigo número uno de la participación activa es el miedo, ¿verdad? Y el contexto que estamos hablando aquí hoy es que puede haber un clima de miedo en nuestra nación. Entonces queremos que la comunidad sepa que tiene poder, que hay poder en comunidad, que el congresista nos convino aquí hoy no solo a celebrar la vida de Martin Luther King, sino también para demostrar que unidos podemos. Así que pueden llamar al 188-839-8682 para información y para referimiento para todas estas organizaciones. Gracias, congresista.
Buenos días, mi nombre es María Well. Soy representante acreditado del Grupo de Asistencia Legal de Nueva York de la Unidad de Protección al Inmigrante y doy gracias por poder estar aquí hoy a hablar por mi unidad que representa a inmigrantes, pero también por la organización completa que representa a los neoyorquinos de bajos ingresos en otros servicios legales que son muy necesitados en la comunidad de Nueva York. Yo también soy una inmigrante, llegué aquí hace 12 años, precisamente cuando el miedo inundaba esta ciudad por la transición del presidente Barack Obama para Donald Trump. Y experimenté lo que fue llegar como indocumentada, mamá soltera, y tener acceso a un sistema de justicia justo y accesible para mí económicamente, y fue Naila. Me ayudó a poner mi vida completa para atrás y volver a empezar desde la experiencia. Hoy represento a otras familias inmigrantes como DOJ y estoy llamando a la empatía de nuestra comunidad para que no olvidemos nuestros orígenes y nos mantengamos unidos a favor de los que nos necesitan en estos años que van a ser muy interesantes. Gracias.
Gracias, congresista, por la invitación hoy. Yo me llamo Domingo Cruz, soy el director ejecutivo de la Juan Pablo Duarte Foundation. Estamos en la 179 en el Port Authority, ahí donde se coge el bus para New Jersey, también el tren. So I stand here today as the executive director of the Juan Pablo Duarte Foundation, an organization dedicated to honoring the legacy of a man who risked everything for a dream and a vision. very much so like Martin Luther King Jr. He believed in the power of unity, justice, and hope, values that mirror the courage of countless immigrants who embark on certain journeys in search of a better life, which is unthinkable for you to get up and walk 2,000 miles just on a dream and a hope that is not very certain. As an artist and advocate of Dominican culture, I know that culture is more than identity. It's a bridge that unites us. While culture is deeply personal, its principles, resilience, belonging, and compassion are universal. It is through this shared humanity that we connect with one another. Today we gather not just as individuals, but as one voice, a voice that says to undocumented immigrants, we see you, we hear you, we stand with you. This is a call to action for every one of us. You don't have to make grand gestures to make a difference. Small acts of kindness have immense power. Offer a meal to someone who is hungry, provide a listening ear to someone who feels unheard, create a safe space for someone in need. These actions may seem small, but someone living in fear or uncertainty, for them it means the world. Because at the end of the day, we're not just Dominicans or from whatever culture we are, or New Yorkers or Americans, we are one humanity. Soy el director ejecutivo de la Fundación Juan Pablo Duarte, estamos ahí en el Puerto Torre 179. Asimismo, como Juan Pablo Duarte arriesgó todo por un sueño y una visión, lo hizo también Martin Luther King Jr. Juan Pablo Duarte creyó en el poder de la unidad, la justicia y la esperanza, valores que reflejan el coraje de innumerables inmigrantes que emprenden viajes inciertos en busca de una vida mejor. Como artista y defensor de la cultura dominicana, sé que la cultura es más que una identidad, es un puente que nos une. Aunque la cultura es profundamente personal, sus principios, resiliencia, pertenencia y compasión son universales. Hoy nos reunimos no solo como individuos, sino como una sola voz, una voz que dice a los inmigrantes indocumentados, te vemos, te escuchamos, estamos aquí contigo. Porque al final del día, no solo somos dominicanos, no solo somos neoyorquinos o estadounidenses, somos una sola humanidad. Estamos ahí a la orden, a la 179, soy el director ejecutivo, cualquier cosa y cualquier persona que yo pueda ayudar, dándole un plato de comida, y les digo a ustedes también, si lo pueden hacer por cualquier persona, porque va a coger cada persona aquí para hacer una diferencia. No solo una cosa agresiva y con mucha gente, un solo gesto ayuda. Muchas gracias.
Gracias a todos. This is our community, and we stand together. Monsignor, we stand together to work with immigrants. De nuevo, lo que podemos llevar de esta reunión, conozcan sus derechos. Si un agente de ICE o la policía se le acerca, no tiene que revelar su estatus de migración y tiene el derecho a permanecer en silencio. Si agentes de ICE llegan a su casa, no tiene que abrir la puerta. Pida que le enseñen una orden de allanamiento por la ventana, por debajo de la puerta, firmada por un juez y con su nombre. Una orden de deportación no es una orden de allanamiento, son diferentes. De manera que tienen que presentar una orden de allanamiento para poder, con su nombre y firmada por un juez, para poder entrar a su casa. Tienen el derecho a rechazar el ingreso de ICE a su casa si los agentes no le presenten esta orden válida. Y si agentes entran sin una orden válida, pidan su nombre y su número de identificación. Si es arrestado o arrestada, tiene derecho de hablar con un abogado inmediatamente. Usted o su familia puede llamar a su miembro del Congreso para que los ayude a contactar servicios legales. Y finalmente, tiene el derecho siempre a permanecer en silencio y negarse a firmar cualquier documento sin el asesoramiento de un abogado. Esos son sus derechos. Vamos a empoderar a la comunidad educándola, vamos a recibir los servicios legales de cada una de esta organización, vamos a organizarnos como comunidad. Este no es el peor momento que hemos cruzado otros momentos difíciles y lo hemos superado. Así que esta supuesta deportación masiva la vamos a enfrentar cara a cara, frente a frente, ciudad por ciudad, esquina por esquina, calle por calle, casa por casa, lo vamos a enfrentar. Gracias.